So this is interesting. CNN's Jake Tapper did a segment here, which is sort of like a segment that I would do. It's kind of interesting. He covers how Trump reacted when asked about Tucker Carlson and the fact that he interviewed Nick Fuentes. And so he covers Trump's reaction here and sort of gets into how cucked both Trump and JD Vance are to this, this white nationalist twink online. So let's watch and we'll break it down.
But you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
The neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes replied on Twitter or X, quote, "Thank you, Mr. President." So there we have it. President Trump expressing no issues with neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes, who has expressed an affinity for Adolf Hitler and regularly traffics in racist, sexist, anti-Semitic filth. Now, some conservatives, such as Senators Ted Cruz and Senator Mitch McConnell, have criticized Tucker Carlson for his very friendly, lengthy interview with Nick Fuentes. Other Republicans have not been so blunt in their condemnation of Fuentes or Carlson, or even condemned either of them. Vice President J.D. Vance, considered the next leader in the MAGA line of succession, he's no stranger to questions about Republicans espousing anti-Semitism in the last few months, following the Young Republicans texting scandal, which was first reported by Politico, which included one message where one of the Young Republicans said, quote, "I love Hitler." Vice President Vance characterized those expressing outrage as, quote, "pearl clutching." And the vice president repeatedly referred to the participants as kids, even though the ages of the people in the group range from 18 to 40.
He's torching this pudgy bitch. Keep it real. This is some of the best work Jake Tapper's ever done, if I'm being honest with you.
Vice president repeatedly referred to the participants as kids, even though the ages of the people in the group range from 18 to 40. Fuentes is, of course, a Nazi of a more loathsome order than those on that text chain, and he has a history of going after not just Jews, but Vice President Vance. He said a number of nasty things about his wife. Vance himself called Fuentes a total loser in a 2024 CBS interview before the election, after Fuentes attacked his wife, Usha Vance, and her Indian heritage. Here's just one of these vile moments. A quick warning to our viewers. This condemnation of Vance by Fuentes is not pleasant to listen to.
Now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a Jeet who named his son Vivek.
Now, this week and last, I repeatedly asked Vance's office for any comment about this internal war about Fuentes, specifically about Tucker Carlson platforming Fuentes, and there was no response. This weekend, Vance did weigh in on something related to this issue. It had to do with another member of the Carlson family, Tucker's son, Buckley, who works for Vance. And he...
By the way, take note here of what J.D. Vance is doing now. Take note of what the point of this is, okay? Watch.
Vice President Vance attacked just some rando on Twitter as a, quote, scumbag, because this woman claimed that Tucker's brother idolizes Nick Fuentes and questioned whether Tucker's son, Buckley, who works for Vance, is a vile bigot, too. We here at CNN have absolutely no idea if Tucker's relatives feel any way about Fuentes.
Well, it's literally in reaction to Buckley Carlson tweeted something like, "Tell me Nick is wrong at any point in this rant," and he posted a rant of Nick Fuentes. So it's a pro Nick Fuentes thing that he did there, right? And so J.D. Vance sees a journalist attack Buckley Carlson for sucking up to Fuentes, and J.D. Vance chimes in to berate the journalist and say, "How dare you besmirch the Buckley Carlson and lie about him?" And so understand what J.D. Vance is doing here. J.D. Vance is trying to signal, hey, Groypers, we're kind of cool, right? Hey, man, you don't come after me that much. I'm not going to come after you that much. Here I'm defending Buckley Carlson for being a Nick Fuentes fan, even though Nick Fuentes says J.D. Vance is a fucking gay race traitor married to a Jeet. So instead of standing up for his fucking family, he's multiple times that he doesn't stand up for his fucking family now when given the opportunity to. Multiple times that he's fucking done that, J.D. Vance. And now here he is, another slide. Hey, man. Hey, Groypers. You lay off me, I'll lay off y'all, man. You're welcome in the coalition. You're welcome to be cool. That's what he's doing here because he's a little bitch. And they're all afraid of Nick Fuentes. They are. They're afraid of the Groypers. They are. Tucker is too. That's why he bent the knee and had on Nick Fuentes and had him over for dinner the night before the interview and basically told him this is going to be a softball.
But it is clear from recent Twitter posts that his brother, also named Buckley, supports Tucker's platforming of Fuentes. Again, in August 2024, a few months before being elected, Vice President Vance condemned Fuentes. But since then, since the inauguration, Vice President Vance has weighed in on these issues only to defend people using anti-Semitic or racist language. He certainly hasn't called any of them scumbags. So on this Republican civil war, on whether it's okay to platform Nazis or espouse anti-Semitism, President Trump has weighed in, as has Vice President Vance. President Trump clearly leaning on the idea of free speech to make his point. Yet at the same time, Trump, of course, has no problem trying to get comedians who make fun of him fired.
Yes, say that again for the people in the back. When it's about Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, now it's, oh, free speech, bro. Let people say things, bro. What's wrong with you? But when it's Jimmy Kimmel making a joke, fire him, ruin his life. Like, when it's about a young college kid writing an anti-Israel op-ed, deport them, kick them out of the country. When it's about an immigrant who made a joke about Charlie Kirk, they literally deported, I think it was like 6 people or 9 people for joking about Charlie Kirk's death. People who were here legally and immigrants. They kicked them out. So when it's hey, if you're going after one of our sacred cows, not allowed. But if you're just saying Nazi shit all the time, well, that's fine.
Clearly, neither President Trump nor Vice President Vance are shy about attacking or insulting anyone they don't like. They have opted to not do so when it comes to Nazis like Nick Fuentes.
Correct. That's exactly right. One more time.
Trump, of course, has no problem trying to get comedians who make fun of him fired. Clearly, neither President Trump nor Vice President Vance are shy about attacking or insulting anyone they don't like. They have opted to not do so when it comes to Nazis like Nick Fuentes. At a time when hate crimes against Jewish Americans are only rising in the United States, the president and the vice president, when it comes to this civil war, they've made their views clear. They're not going to condemn Nazis. They're not going to condemn those who platform them.
Let's review the record here. Here are things that Nick Fuentes has said. Quote, dating women is gay. Having sex with women is gay. I fucking hate the poor. I love the rich. Democracy is wrong. All black people should be ashamed of crimes committed by others of their race. White people are every single bit justified in being racist. Give the death penalty to Jews, atheists, and witches. He called for, quote, Catholic Taliban rule in America. He said, quote, be against women's rights. Be against them getting educated. He goes on to say ban birth control, ban contraceptives. Women shouldn't be allowed in the workforce. Ban them from voting. Ban pornography. Ban transgenderism. Ban homosexuality. Ban sodomy. Sodomy should be shamed and banned, he said. Quote, boys and girls should get married as teens. Quote, women shouldn't have the right to vote. Here was his reaction to 288 people being sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador, 90% of which didn't even have a criminal record. He said, quote, bravo, good job. Quote, he said, I don't care that much while talking about the genocide. I'm ambivalent. The same guy now who virtue signals like he's the fucking savior of Palestinians. That's how he actually thinks. He's only using this issue to go after global Jewry, as he calls it. More. Quote, Hitler was really fucking cool. I admire Hitler. He's a Holocaust denier, and he's made the analogy to cookies. Oh, they couldn't cook 6 million cookies. That's not even possible. And of course, the most important thing, perhaps, he said, you have to hide your power level and do trickery and deceit if you're a groyper. Get into the institutions, don't let them know you're a fan of mine, and then we take over. That's how we take over. And then, finally, it should be pointed out, in the New York Times in the 1920s, they said that Hitler wasn't actually anti-Semitic. He was just using the issue to become popular. And we're already sort of seeing echoes of that now. You already saw there was an article about Nick Fuentes written in the New York Times. And so like the media is doing that thing where they like sort of, spruce up the profile of the Nazi a little bit. They did this back when Richard Spencer was the leader of the alt-right. Now he's not insane anymore. He's not super far right anymore, Richard Spencer. But they back when he was the guy, the head of the alt-right, the founder of the alt-right, Mother Jones and some other outlets, I believe it was, they did this glowing sort of profile. And now you're seeing the exact same thing with Nick Fuentes. And Tucker's afraid to cross Fuentes because he's got a passionate young fan base that are very politically active. And many on the right, including J.D. Vance, including Donald Trump, they do not want to cross the Nazis in their base. And what that means is, it's a Nazi movement. That's what it means. That's what it means. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so that's where we are. That's where we are. And CNN is actually calling it out, which is a lovely thing to see, if I'm being honest with you. Basically exposing how these so-called tough guy alpha males on the right, the leaders of the right, they're not leaders. There's so much ammunition there for these people to go after Fuentes, but they don't want to do it because they know there will be backlash and they don't want to deal with that. They are afraid of their base. Well, that's a shame. We just need to make the Democratic base afraid of us, right? We need that same dynamic with the Democratic base being afraid of us and doing our bidding. Unfortunately, the right being basically terrified of Nazis and giving them what they want. That's a bad dynamic. It'd be a good dynamic if it's us and the Democrats. It's a bad dynamic when it's Nazis and Trump and Vance and the Republicans, but that's where we are and everybody knows it. And that civil war on the right is not ending anytime soon. It is a raging civil war. And you're going to have the Ben Shapiro's and the Mark Levins and the pro-Netanyahu types. They will be continuing to go against the pro-Hitler Nick Fuentes types. Like I said, do you support the old Holocaust or the new Holocaust? Do you support old Hitler or new Hitler? Those are the dividing lines. And that war will rage on. But clearly, the people at the very top of the party, they're not going to take a side. They're going to sit back and watch, and whoever ends up winning, they'll be like, oh yeah, I was always with you guys. That's what this is. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read or talked to a billionaire or anything like that. You guys fund this show from the ground up. I'm very proud of that fact. You can also support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And go sub to the Corn's World YouTube channel so you can see live Kyle and Corn episodes every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I will see you soon. Peace. Hey, y'all. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.